So, hello guys and welcome to this week's tutorial. In this one, I'm going to be showing you this really satisfying cloth physics simulation. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's really simple to make. So let's just jump right into it and see how it goes. So I'm going to start off with an empty blender scene. I'm going to shift it. I'm going to add in an icosphere. I'm going to tab into edit mode, right click, subdivide, and give it increase the smoothness to 1 and the number of cuts to 4. And I'm going to tab out, shade it smooth, and then I'm going to hide it, shift it, add in another icosphere. I'm going to tab into edit mode, subdivide it, and give it maybe 3 cuts, a little bit less, and shade it smooth. And then I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to scale the one I just made with the less subdivisions. So I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to bring it like to something like this, and then I'm going to grab it on the Z and bring it up to the edge. So that's like at around 0.8 meters. I'm going to shift D to duplicate it and then grab on the Z and bring it down. So I have 2 balls here. I can show you them. Okay. And then now I'm going to get these guys. And then I'm going to shift D, duplicate this one again, grab it on the Z and bring it up to this middle origin. Then I'm going to Alt H to bring back the previous ball I had. And then I'm going to grab the one I just had in hand, and I'm going to grab it on the X and bring it over to this side. And I'm going to duplicate it and just position them in the 4 corners. Shift D, grab, put this one in the corner, Shift D, grab, put this one in the corner. And there we have it. So if we hide this, we have quite a lot of different balls. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale a couple of them up into different sizes just so that we have some variety with the movement when we are rotating these, because these are all going to be rotated. And then I'm going to just move them up and down a bit just so that there's a little bit of variation. And yeah, that's all we need. So then I'm going to bring back the main icosphere just to see if nothing's clipping through, and as it seems it's all good. So I'm going to hide them again, and then I'm just going to select all these little balls, and I'm going to Control J to join them into one ball, and then I'm just going to rename it. So these are going to be the inner 4. This one will be the inner top, and so on. We're going to have inner bot for bottom. Okay, so now we have all our balls there. So let's start adding some animation and the physics. So to the main ball, I'm going to call this cloth ball. I'm going to give him a cloth physics. For the inner 4, I'm just going to add collision, and all the other balls are just going to have collision. So let's go back to the physics tab of the cloth ball and go here into this little tab and input rubber. So it's going to change some of these settings to be that of rubber. And then I'm just going to grab all of these and change them to 25, because that's what I want. That suits me most for what I want. So now if we press play, we see that it just drops down like that. Okay, that's pretty good and dandy, but I don't want it to be dropping. So I'm going to go scroll down into the physics properties and scroll down to the field weights where we have gravity. And now I'm going to switch off gravity. And if you see, if I press play, it's just here. No gravity is affecting it, and it's just maybe oscillating a little bit because of the collisions. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to select the inner 4. I'm going to control and apply the scale, and then I am going to insert a single keyframe on frame 1, and on frame 120 I'm going to make it rotate 360 degrees, 360, and insert that single keyframe. On the top ball, on frame 0, I'm going to insert a single keyframe on frame 1 where it's 0.8 meters, and I'm going to bring it up to at frame 60 to 1.2. If you see things glitching out for now, it's because it hasn't rendered all the physics frames, so it's getting confused, and if we let it bake afterwards, it's going to be fine. So then I'm going to move this back down to 0.8, and so I'm just 0.8, not 0.08, and then I'm going to go back to the bottom one and do the same. So we're at negative 0.7. I want it to be negative 0.8. Okay, so add that single keyframe on frame 1, obviously, not frame 2. Okay, and then go to frame 60 make it negative 1.2, and just rinse and repeat until frame 120, and then make this negative 0.8 again. Okay, and then on frame 130, I'll want it to go to negative 0.5, a little bit closer, because I don't want it to interfere with my relaxation of this animation in a sense. So after 120 frames, our animation will be pretty much done. So let's go here and let's let it cache this animation. And so some weird things are happening, but here we can see that my origin of these 4 points is on this point, which we don't want. So we have to set origin to 3D cursor. So now it's all in the middle and they'll be spinning correctly. So if we bring back the ball and restart the physics, we see that now it's doing what we want. So as you can see, the quality of the cloth is not really that amazing. So what could be done now is just to add a subdivision surface, plug that in, change the render to 1, and bring it up here. So now when we are going to be baking this, the cloth will look much better. The more viewport levels you're going to add, the higher the quality of the cloth that there's going to be, because of the number of points of contact and everything, and it can simulate it much nicer. So in my real animation, I added something like 2 more. It was quite a lot of subdivisions. But I'm just going to go into the physics tab of this ball now and just go into the cache and bake the frames that I want. So I'm going to bake all the 250 frames, and then I'm going to get back to you when it's done. So now that it has finished baking, we can see the animation and how it moves it around. And now what I did is basically I added a couple more frames for us to go when our animation stops at frame 120, where the movement or our inner balls stops. I just shrunk them down, and then the other balls, the top ones and the bottom ones, they move out of the way. And since we have the cloth being rubber, it kind of places itself back into its normal shape. So like frame 180, where it's pretty much at a normal spherical shape, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just shift A, and I'm going to add in another icosphere. I'm going to tab into edit mode, right click, subdivide, give it a couple subdivisions, give it 4, shade it smooth. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to plop it into place over the other ball. So we're just going to move it up so that there's basically no intersection. So it's in the same position as the other one. So we want there to be just as little as possible of overlap, and that looks right. So I'm going to insert a single insert keyframes, and then at frame like 200, I'm going to move this one back to frame 0, and then insert keyframes. And the other one on frame 180, on frame 179, I'm going to insert keyframes for its scale, and for the frame 180, I'm going to make its scale 0 and insert the keyframes. And for the cloth, for the icosphere that moves from frame 180, everything before that, it's going to have a scale of 0. So it's going to be scale of 0, insert keyframe, insert keyframes, and then on frame 180, it's going to have a scale of 1. So now we can see this whole movement in action. Basically, after spinning, it turns into the other one, and then it goes into place, and now we have a looping animation. So this is the most looping you're going to get it, but it does the trick. And if you want to fix these issues, you can add in afterwards for the cloth ball, add in another subdivision surface at the end, and it kind of smooths things out. The higher the resolution, the better. But for now, I'm just going to take that away. Just in the sense of the tutorial, so it's a bit simpler. So I'm just going to now add some lighting, and we're going to be able to export this out soon. So I'm going to move this back, like here. Like I'm going to grab it on the Y, just bring it out here, scale it up, just so that it's nicely positioned, maybe scale it up a bit more. I'm going to Shift A, add in a camera. Where's the camera? Control-Alt-0. I'm going to put my position at frame at the location of 0, and I'm just going to press G and move back and get myself in frame. Okay, now let's add some lighting. What's really nice is just get an area lamp for the top lighting. So I'm going to add contact shadows, and then let's increase its power to like 150 or something like that. Increase its scale to something like this and change its shape to a disk. And let's go into rendered mode and then just grab this guy up, bring him up like this. No, maybe a bit lower. Something like that looks fine. And maybe we duplicate him. Just position our lights how we want them. I'm gonna make this smaller. Grab it on the X and just position them nicely. Get another one. Maybe bring this one to get some bottom lighting from this side to give it a little bit more color and light, and just move them around. And then what I did in my final animation was basically I added one more light. I grabbed this one and I just moved it out here, rotated it on the Z and on the X, just basically made it flat, pointing straight outwards. I increased the size of it and kept that strength. And basically what that's going to do, it gives us like a nice rim lighting. But okay, now let's go back into the camera view and we can look at this. Let's just select another frame and let's start shading. So let's go here. You can do this in Eevee or in Cycles, it doesn't really matter, but Cycles always looks a little better. So I'm gonna just make the background nice darkish gray, make it not metallic, like a bit less roughness and less specular, something like that. And our material, what we're going to do, it's really cool but really simple. We're going to make it metallic, decrease the roughness a little bit, and bring down the shade 1 tick downwards. And let's open up another tab here and add a timeline. So now we are going to be animating the color. So select the principal BSDF, and on frame 1, let's add in a keyframe for the color. Let's go to frame 60. Let's change the color to something else. I went with like a blue like this, and then I'm gonna insert the keyframe, go to frame like 120, insert another keyframe, maybe go to pink or gold. I'm gonna try something like gold, insert the keyframe, and we go to frame like 170. I'm gonna make this a nice black, maybe. Yeah, I made it nice black, so we can do something like that. And I'm gonna move this, Control Z. I'm gonna move this keyframe closer here, so we're gonna have a nice black just before it turns back to white. So let's change this to a black, like nice dark pink. Insert this keyframe, and then when it goes back to frame 200, we're gonna make this a white. But we see now the other ball shows up, so we want them to have the same material on them. So let's select this ball and add our material, so this one. And so now we can see that this, as the animation goes on, the colors change and it looks really cool. So what I'm gonna do now is for Eevee, I'm gonna turn on ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflections, and it makes it look nice. And maybe the color management, I'm gonna make it to like very high contrast, and that makes it pop more than usual. But in Cycles, it looks just amazing right away. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna go into the exporting tab. I'm gonna turn on FFmpeg, choose my file location, whatever, and then encoding container to MP4, and then output quality perceptually lossless. And then just hit Control F12 and render out your animation. It will look amazing. It renders out pretty fast, especially in Eevee, it takes seconds. And yeah, this is what it looks like. Looks amazing. It's a really satisfying animation. It's not that difficult to make. It takes a little bit of a hassle to get used to the physics simulation, but overall it's really nice. And I just wanted to say thank you all of you for all your support. Thank you for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers. This is insane. It has been an amazing experience. You've supported me even when I wasn't uploading. I've had other issues, but Thank you guys. I hope you stick around for the next videos. Subscribe if you enjoy these types of videos. Comment down below for what you want to see from me. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.